Brian Becker joins me now from here in Washington, D.C. He is the Executive Director of Answer Coalition, an anti-war and social justice organisation. Brian, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm assuming you've seen the footage that's been released. What's your initial response to that footage?
This is another police murder in cold blood. This man was running away. He was running away. I mean, he's a 25-year-old worker. He's a DoorDash driver. He brings people food when they order food. They were stopping him for an equipment violation on his car. He was obviously scared. He ran away, and they shot almost 90 times. Now, the police will undoubtedly say this was because they felt their life was threatened, as they always do. But the police in Akron and around the United States have a license to kill. They are the judge, the jury, and the executioner. Last year, more than 1,000 people were killed by police in the United States. And in the last 10 years, there have been 10,000 people killed by the police in the United States, and rarely is there a conviction.
Well, the police say that it was the way that he moved his body, reached down to his waist. He was wearing a black ski mask that made the situation feel like it was unsafe for those police officers. But of course, as you say, 8 police officers shooting up to 100 rounds seems like an extreme response. How do you reform action like this?
It would be very simple, actually. The police have what's called qualified immunity in the United States. Qualified immunity means that all a police officer has to do is say, I felt my life was threatened. And that provides him qualified immunity for whatever he decides to do. So the reason we have an epidemic of police shootings, mainly against unarmed black and brown people in the United States, is because of this qualified immunity. If the government wanted to stop this epidemic of violence in the inner cities, especially in the United States, against people by police officers, they would need to take away qualified immunity. But all the police unions around the country, our powerful lobby, saying, no, we must absolutely have this, which means, again, as I said before, they do have a license to be judge, jury, and executioner as long as they say their life is in danger or they perceived it to be in danger. That has to end.
The death of George Floyd is fresh in the minds of so many here in the United States, and of course it sparked a nationwide conversation about police reform. I remember reporting at the time, hearing about state to state various conversations in Congress about what can be done. Has anything changed since then?
No, it's gotten worse. More people were killed in 2021 by the police than were killed in 2020, the year that George Floyd was killed. So here you have the United States government, by the way, does not even officially keep track of how many people the police kill. The reason we know these numbers is that media outlets like the Washington Post and some others have started to identify and track police killings. But when you have a situation where 3 Americans are shot to death every day, and that's about what the number is, 3 a day, we have a problem. And it's not a criminal justice system in that case. It's a criminal injustice system because the police should not have arbitrary discretion to decide who lives and who dies.
When it comes to the idea of defunding the police, of course, Democrats have been very careful about using that particular language, but instead using things like police reform. What do you think about the idea of defunding the police or, an association to reforming the police force? How does that look to you?
Well, I think the defunding police slogan has a lot of merit, but I think it's widely misunderstood. Every time there's a domestic incident in the United States, when people have to do something, let's say there's violence in their home or violence in their neighborhood, what do they have as an option? They call the police, and then the police come, and the police, again, using this qualified immunity, act as if all of the people present are a clear and present danger to them, and then they start shooting. So we need to have other systems in place to handle social problems other than one system, which is to have the police go into the community and have discretion to open fire. That's one very, very important thing. There's many other methods for police accountability. Mainly people who kill people in cold blood, if they wear a uniform, should be treated like anybody else who kills people in cold blood. They should be held to account. And if you did that across the board, this epidemic of police violence would stop.
Really interesting to get your insight. Much appreciated.